Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is asking for a friend. Typical nice guy. Well, I've actually got an email here from a woman, and she's friends with this dude who obviously is a typical nice guy. And so she writes in because she wants to help this dude. She's referred him to my work, and for the last 6 months, she's just been kind of pounding on him to go watch my videos, read my book. I mean, the guy's doing all kinds of crazy things. He's throwing thousands of dollars at these women he's hanging out with who aren't sleeping with him in hopes that it's going to change. And she also shares some of the funny things that guys do that she meets online when through online dating apps and stuff that she just shakes her head at. So it's like every time she encounters one of these 97% dudes, she always refers them my way. So it's an interesting email because you get from a woman's perspective what the typical nice guy is like and what they encounter in the dating world. And for those of you that are watching this video, it's just going to give you more confidence to know that you really don't have much competition, especially some of the shit that these dudes do. So I have a quote that I wrote in this topic, and then we're going to go through her email and see if we can suggest some things for her friend. So the quote says, "Modern feminism has increasingly become toxic to male and female gender roles and dating dynamics. In an effort to make the sexes equal, women are taught to be more masculine and assertive, and men are taught to be more feminine, sensitive, placating, weak, and unsure of themselves. This causes women to act more like men and men to act more like women. This ruins the sexual polarity and sexual attraction between the average unsuspecting man and woman. The epitome of this unhealthy dating dynamic is the typical nice guy who is perpetually friend-zoned and jerked around by his romantic interests. Self-respecting masculine men who have choice with women know to walk away from women who mistreat them, don't reciprocate romantic interest, or who try to friend-zone them instead of sticking around trying to change their minds and seek their approval, much like this particular guy that's a friend of hers is. Placating, approval-seeking behavior is disgusting and repulsive to feminine women who want a real man who knows how to lead and be a man." She says, "Hi, Corey. My name is Jessica. I'm 28, and I live in Texas." Well, hello, Jessica. "I've been following your work for quite some time. I've read your book, and I must say I am absolutely astonished by your understanding of the female mindset and what drives the attractive, successful, funny, smart unicorn to be repelled or attracted by a man's actions. I agree with everything you say, so much so that I have even referred your work to clueless guys who hit on me at the bar whom I feel sorry for, or have douchey online profiles that send me spray-tanned, flexing, shirtless gym selfies, or even worse, dick pics. What guy thinks it's a good idea just to send a chick a picture of his dick? I mean, come on. I can understand if some of you're dating and hooking up with. I personally would never do that because if you don't stay together, you never know where that shit's going to end up. There's plenty of celebrities that have that problem. I didn't even want or ask for. I used to think that I have a type, but I now know I fall for the way a guy carries himself, not for the style of clothes he wears." So obviously, until she came across my work, she had what she thought she was attracted to because it pushed her buttons emotionally, or she was told that. And when she really got into it and she really started thinking about it, she realized there was a vibe and a personality that was drawing her to certain types of men. Not for the style of his clothes, his common interest, or his lifestyle. I see guys that try too hard, hundreds of times a week it seems, to get to the point that I feel a little hopeless. I will never find a man who understands what keeps me interested, yet is also single and available. Remember, the top 3% in every field are the guys making and girls making all the money, taking care of great care of themselves, having a great life, great lifestyle, balling out in whatever their career or business happens to be. And if you're watching this video, you're obviously one of the few that has higher standards. But this email really isn't about me. I have my wits about myself, and I keep the faith that eventually a 3% man will come into my life and sweep me off my feet. Well, we're making new ones every day. Every person that buys and downloads the books or reads it for free on my website and applies it, eventually they get there. Some sooner than others, depending on the story that they tell themselves that gets in the way. Everybody's different. Some people read the book and completely change things around in a matter of days and weeks. Other guys, it might take a year or two. It just depends on how much of their life they need to work on and clean the clutter out, so to speak. This email is really about my best guy friend who doesn't know that I'm writing you. He falls into the typical nice guy category, hence why he's my best guy friend. Probably some dude, I would imagine, that eventually started out, you thought maybe you'd even date him. He probably maybe wanted to date you, but your friends owned him, and he stuck around all this time. He's also much older than I, and more so feels like a father figure or older brother. But that's not the worst part of it. He spends thousands of dollars on women who won't even go to bed with him, or they are reluctant to go on dates. They only text or meet up to ask for rent or need money to pay a divorce lawyer, DUI court fees, money for their own children, get their hair highlighted, and the list goes on and on. Sounds like a successful dude, has more money than common sense. He's using money as a bribe for sex in a relationship. And he's getting none of it. They're just emptying his bank account. I often talk to a lot of guys that are in this situation or recovering from being these type of dudes. But, I mean, if you look at what's on TV, what does it show? I mean, it's like every other fucking commercial when you turn on TV. The woman's real strong. She's a smart man. She's a smart one in the relationship. She's got everything all handled. She knows exactly what to do. And the guy acts like the biggest fucking clueless pussy. And she's usually putting him down and making fun of the guy. What an idiot my husband or my boyfriend or significant other happens to be. It's pretty much the scene that you see in most comedies as well that are on TV. The woman's always the smart one, the masculine one, and the guy's the one that's always all over the ice, and the woman is kind of like a mommy to him instead of a teammate or an equal. And when you see this thousands and thousands of times from the time you're a child until you grow up, you start to think this is the way it is. This is the real dynamic. You literally convince yourself, especially if you don't have anybody to teach you these things at home, that this is the way it's supposed to be. This is the way to be a man and get the kind of woman that you want. Buy her things, kiss her ass, beg, plead, try to prove yourself, jump through your butt, hoping that she'll like you. And eventually, over time, you'll wear her down and she'll say yes. Doesn't work that way in the real world, which a lot of guys seem to find that out, but yet they keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. He's even sent the two main women that I'm speaking of flowers at their work, and it's starting to make me sick to my stomach to listen to it all. He vents to me and says, I gave so-and-so $2,500 last week, and she didn't even say thank you. Well, no one will ever do or say anything to you that you don't invite them to do. I mean, for that kind of money, you can get a really great, super high-quality hooker. It's like, come on, what the fuck, dude? So-and-so's daughter asked for $1,200 last week because her dad wouldn't give it to her. And she won't even meet him for dinner. $1,200, so we're talking $3,700, and he doesn't even get a dinner date out of it. That's pretty pathetic. About 6 months ago, I started forcing him to listen to your videos, and I even bought your book on his phone and downloaded it for him so he could listen to it while on his long commutes. Well, the thing you got to consider is that part of where this guy is at, this is the story that he tells himself. He really has convinced himself that this is eventually he's going to get what he wants. But at the end of the day, it's just like a drug addict. And until a drug addict recognizes that the alcoholic recognizes that they have a problem, or the person that's morbidly obese that they have a problem, you could have the best intentions in the world. And at the end of the day, if they're not open to it, if they don't recognize they have a problem, it doesn't matter. They're not ready. And you can suggest, you can love them, and Tell him why it's disgusting to you, why he's not getting anywhere with these women, why it's repulsive. Tell him how, because people will do more to avoid pain than they'll do to gain pleasure. And masculine energy grows through challenge. So tweak his balls. Tell him how it's disgusting. Tell him how it's repulsive. Tell him how his actions, when he tells you these things, cause you to lose more respect for him as a man. I mean, have some fucking self-respect already, dude. I mean, I would say this to him, have some self-respect. You're giving this chick money and you're giving her kids money and she won't even go to dinner with you? It's like, come on. But part of the problem is if deep down this guy has a belief about himself that he's not good enough to have what he wants, if he's really convinced himself of that and he believes that that's his truth, and therefore interacting with a woman like this and her kids and giving them money and they won't even spend time with him, that justifies his model of the world. In other words, I'm not deserving or worthy of having what I want. And then he interacts with somebody like this and he doesn't get what he wants. It's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so remember what Tony Robbins said, and I've said as many times over the years, people act consistently with how or who they view themselves to be, whether the view is accurate or not. And so obviously I can just tell from this dude's actions that he has an inaccurate view of himself. And partly by continuing to be involved with women like this, he's avoiding getting into a relationship altogether because deep down he doesn't think he deserves it. Because if you look at his actions, he's not acting like a person who values himself, who respects himself, and thinks that he's worthy. Because then he can come to you and whine about it, oh, poor me, because this is one of the ways that some people fulfill their need for love and connection. Because what happens? He gives the girl money, she won't go to dinner, she cancels plans at the last minute, there's always some excuse, and then he complains to you. It's all poor me, poor me. Oh, it'll get better, you poor baby. Someday, maybe she'll change her mind. You gotta be brutally fucking honest with him. It's like, dude, you're acting like a fucking pussy. It's like, grow a set of balls and be a man. Start interacting with women that are ready, willing, able, and open to you. Stop dating women that are fucking broke as a joke. Go and get involved with women that are on the same level as you are, that are successful, that they don't need you. You want a teammate, an equal. But again, at the end of the day, if he's not open to it, there's not a lot you can do about it. And remember, no one will ever do or say anything to you that you don't invite them to do. And he's constantly inviting these women to do it, to walk all over him, because there's no consequences. He doesn't stand up for himself. He just lets them do it, and then they do it predictably, and then he bitches to you and probably every other person that's in his life he complains about. Poor me, poor me. People feel sorry for him, and that's how he fulfills his need for love and connection in a very dysfunctional way. Because there's 6 human needs. The first one is certainty. Second one is variety. The third one is significance. The fourth one is love and connection. The fifth one is growth, growing as a person. And the fifth is contribution. When you focus on contribution, because remember, love is all about giving, you fulfill all of the other needs. But if you're giving and giving and giving to somebody else and they're just taking, and you're continuing to give and you don't get anything back, I mean, you got to love yourself and have some self-respect. You only want to hang out with people who value you, not somebody that's blowing you off but just constantly taking your money. I mean, at the end of the day, he's happy to write the checks. It's like, he might as well just take his money, throw it in a pile, and fucking throw some lighter fluid on it and light it on fire. It's basically what he's doing. It's pretty sad, pretty pathetic. But he hasn't gotten to a point in his life where this is painful, this truth is painful. Because again, it's part of his story. And he can fulfill his love and connection need in a totally dysfunctional way. She says, about 6 months ago, I started forcing him to listen to your videos. I even bought his book in your phone and downloaded it. I suggested hundreds of times that he listen to your videos and book. But at the end of the day, he's still not doing it. I guess you like being a sucker, dude. I guess you like being walked all over. I guess you like having blue balls. I guess you like not having a girlfriend in your life. I guess you like women disrespecting you. You're very consistent. You consistently act like a guy who doesn't feel like he deserves what he wants. So you continue to hang out and spend time with women that it's not going to go anywhere with because it fulfills your limiting belief about yourself that you don't deserve it. You're avoiding a relationship by continuing to interact with people like this. Just say, I don't want to fucking hear about it. I don't want to hear you whine about it. It's like you do it every week. It's like you're an attention whore. It's like, grow a set of balls. Be a man. Is this supposed to make me respect you more as a man? When you tell me these pathetic things that you do, it's like, come on, dude. You don't get what you deserve in life, you only get what you negotiate. And he's being a horrible negotiator for himself personally. He's negotiating like a guy who views himself as being worthless. When we would drive places, I'd plug in your book or specific videos about him being in the friend zone, texting savvy, manipulative women, and other videos I felt relevant, and it just seemed the information would go in one ear and out the other. Again, he's behaving totally consistently with how he views himself to be. And he doesn't recognize that there's a problem. He's comfortable with his story that he has, his model of the world, if you will. All you can do is gently lead and suggest and tell him how disgusting it is and how repulsive. And I mean, you should be able to predict exactly what's going to happen to him when he tells you about the thing that he's doing. And then when it happens, like, you like it. You like the abuse. You like being abused. Maybe you should go get a therapist. Maybe you should tell him that. Go get a psychologist or a therapist and talk to them about it, because you're behaving like a guy who views himself as, in romantic prospects, as being totally worthless and useless. And therefore you attract people into your life who treat you like you're totally worthless and useless. I finally just now say, well, whatever makes you happy. When he complains to me about it, so-and-so won't date him, yet he is funneling her and her children thousands of dollars. I think he may be a lost cause, but maybe this email could help other guys understand, coming from the unicorn's mouth. And she puts in big bold letters, money cannot and will not buy love. So stop wasting it. Is there anything else I can do for my friend? Well, one of the reasons, like when I'm doing these videos and I if you've been watching enough of them, you see sometimes I'll fucking really lay into a guy, and the idea is to emotionally anchor him to something that's really painful and really unpleasant, and then offer a pleasurable alternative. And so think about that when you talk to him. Point out the pain, what he's feeling, what he's being caused by his behavior, but also, here's the pleasure you get from the alternative that will get you the results that you want. You're a masochist, dude. You like being abused. You like being taken advantage of. It's an easy way to avoid being in a relationship. So unless you're going to start acting like a fucking man, I don't want to fucking hear about it, because it just disgusts me to the point where I don't even want to talk to you and hang out with you myself. You are who you associate with, and you're associating with a guy who's a guy friend, and he's a total fucking beta male. What you observe, you participate in life. And you become like the 5 people that you spend most of your time with. And so if you're having a hard time attracting a guy into your own life who behaves the way you want, you should look at the guys that you hang out with, that you associate with, that you're friends. You really ideally should be hanging out with guys that act like men. Maybe they're brothers of yours or friends of yours that have healthy relationships, and you have a good relationship with their girlfriends or their wives. Because being around that vibration, that healthy vibration of a male archetype, instead of hanging out with somebody like this who basically is a little bitch. I mean, he's acting like a bitch. And a real true friend would say, dude, you're being a fucking bitch. I mean, come on, stop being a fucking pussy and be a man. You disgust me. This doesn't make me respect you as a friend when you behave this way. It just makes you look pathetic and make me question why I even hang out with you. But you really should look at that. Is he the only guy that you know that's in your life that's this way? Because what you mentioned in your email is that you're constantly attracting dudes that, in essence, behave this way. Well, you hang out with guys that behave this way. And so, again, what you observe, you participate in. And so if you're constantly putting the vibe out into the universe that this kind of behavior is acceptable into your life, the universe is going to give you more of that. So you really should be thinking about who you're going to spend your time with. It's the same thing like when I'm talking to a guy. It's when you see beautiful women, notice their beauty. Tell them what you like about them. Just throw it out there. Who cares? You're giving your gift. It doesn't matter whether they're single or they're interested or not. If they look amazing in a dress, tell them, God, you look amazing. That look really shows off your figure. I can tell you're in great shape. You work out a lot. Awesome. Good fucking job, girl. Have a great day and then go about your business. And the point being is that the more you notice something, the more, in other words, for a guy, the more a guy notices beauty in his life and acknowledges it and verbalizes it when he sees it, more beauty tends to show up. But the less you acknowledge that, the more that tends to show up. So if somebody's constantly going around complaining about something, there's a strong emotional charge behind that. And the way the universe works, it will give you more of what you're emotionally anchored to. And I would say, quite frankly, this guy being in your life and spending your time with dudes like this is part of the reason why you're constantly attracting men that act just like this guy. Because you're putting a vibe out in the universe that you're okay being around weak men like this. So maybe you don't cut him out of your life completely, but maybe you limit the time that you spend with him. Scarcity creates value. In other words, if he wants to hang out with you, he's got to start acting like a fucking man. Because him not acting like a man is causing you to attract more guys like that that are repulsive and disgusting and totally unattractive to you. Something to think about. Money cannot and will not buy love, so stop wasting it. Is there anything else I can do for my friend? Am I doing the right thing by stepping away and no longer offering my listening ears and advice? Absolutely. Again, what you observe, you participate in. So the more you tolerate this in your life, the more you tolerate this kind of behavior, the more you invite it into your life. I really do love human psychology, which led me to your work, and I felt that by understanding the male mind, I could better understand myself, but I don't know how a coach is going to get through the thicker the skulls out in the world. Well, number one, you're trying to help somebody or change somebody who's just not open to it at this point in time. So set some standards for yourself and what you're willing to accept in your life, and then don't tolerate anything else, because just like I said, you're tolerating this vibration in your life and it's affecting your personal life in a negative way. That's why you're having a hard time finding the kind of guys that you want, because you spend so much time with these weak kind of dudes. It's all about being receptive. Be receptive to the kind of guys you want by spending time with those kinds of men, where those kinds of men tend to congregate. When you come across dudes that act this way, run from them like the plague. I know you want to save everybody and you want to help everybody, but you know, if this guy's not willing to do anything to help himself, it's not your job to save or to fix him. If you're giving that vibration out in the universe that, you know, you're constantly attracting guys that you got to fix, or there's something wrong, you're trying to teach them to be a man, just don't hang out with people like that. You are who you associate with. When you lie down with dogs, you're going to get fleas. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works for you. And I will talk to you soon.